Hello, and welcome to the first of our ongoing creative healing conversations. I am so happy that you're here. I am thrilled to be with you. My name is Laurie Morse. I'm your guide and your host, I guess I would say, on this creative healing journey. We're going to be having multiple conversations about what it actually means to heal and transform by way of a creative healing process. It is far-reaching. It goes into very deep levels, and I can guarantee you, if you stick with our conversations, you will discover the magic of transformation by way of your own creative life force. So it's mostly because when we enter the creative field, we're actually entering a field that's beyond our mind. Some call it the quantum field. Everything I ever talk about is well researched and understood to be, rooted in scientific principle, understanding, and research. So it's basically when we step into an intentional field, such as a creative field, the creative healing process in particular, energy, it kind of transcends time and space, and it calls in the transformation process. And you'll be learning much more about that. I'm not saying that in my speaking of those words, you have to understand everything about what that means, because it'll all be unfolding in our conversations, which I would invite you to on a regular basis. So our title, the conversation of our time together now is called The Power of Permission. And what we're going to learn in our topic, or on that topic in our time together, is what it means to grant and gift yourself permission. And that's essentially a portal that you allow yourself to connect into in order to use energy that you may or may not know has been there for you for transforming things that aren't working, setting intentions for things to be healed, or setting an intention for things to transform. And we do that first and foremost by giving ourselves permission. So we're going to talk about that. And then the second thing we're going to talk about in our time together is the role of fear, because it plays a role in our programming. A lot of us are programmed, most of us, to be fair. You might get a little annoyed when I say this next thing, but it's mainly because it's in a place in us that isn't very conscious. But part of our being is not our true being, but part of our programming is to feel bad and to not give ourselves permission to feel good. And so we're going to just talk about that for a little bit. And then the third thing we're going to talk about together is elevating the permission that we give ourselves to the level of sacred, and talking a little bit about what it means to go through our life, giving ourselves permission to elevate what we're doing, what we're saying, how we connect to the level of the sacred. We are able to do that. In fact, it's the point of our life is to choose divinity and to choose sacred, sacred and divinity over whatever else we would call its opposite. There's a lot of terms for that, and we don't need to get into, the naming of anything, because it's not really about that. It's just about being very purposeful about how we use our energy. So I want to start out by saying that lest you think you are a human being that is not creative or doesn't have natural creative tendencies, I want to just start off by busting that myth right away, because if you're breathing, if you're alive, you inherently are one who has the creative life force coursing through your veins, pumping your blood, beating your heart, digesting your food. You take in breath, you take in the inspiration, which is, some call it the inspiring of spirit. And that alone, that is your life force. And the life force that creates worlds, the nature, there's a lot of words for this particular energy. We can call it the universe, we can call it life force, it's called chi as well. We can call it molecular energy, we can call it the wind. It's one of my favorite analogies that the wind causes the trees to sway, and it makes movement, but we don't necessarily see the wind, but we cannot say it doesn't exist. I don't know anyone who says that there is no such thing as wind, especially if it's just moving right in front of them. So all of those terms boil down to the energy that I'm calling life force. And because you have that life force coursing through you, it's what animates you and gives you your life. It's creative in nature. So whether you agree with me that you have technical talent, that some call artistic talent, that's another level. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your innate, inborn, natural gift and impulse to be a creative being. You create all day long. You create from the moment you wake up. You create your meals. You create projects. You create the way you move your furniture around. You create the way you put your clothes on your body. And I'm talking about up-leveling this life force that you have to the place of intention and the place of eventually, you may not be at this place right this moment, but eventually being able to call it, a sacred gift that is connected to some aspect of divinity that beats your heart. And that is a they call it, a lot of ancient traditions call it this spark of light, or this flame of light that resides in every one of our hearts, no matter how buried or forefront it is. We all have it. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of the sacred and the divinity. So so I'm going to click over here to my notes online. So I want to say that when it comes to creativity, and when it comes to allowing that to flow through you more, in, through, and around you in a conscious way, so that you can see it dance with you, basically. I mean, you can see and feel creativity dance with you, inside of you, outside of you, as you create and cultivate a relationship with it. And that's what I'm inviting you into. I'm inviting you to say yes to creating a relationship with your own internal creative life force. I'm asking you to give yourself permission to enter that portal, so to speak, so that you can discover what that relationship means to you, what it wants to say through you, because it is, it does actually hold magic, and I want all of us, those of us who are interested, to have access to your magic, because it makes life easier, it makes life juicier, it makes life lighter, and it makes life more effective when it comes to contributing to the pool of consciousness, or the culture of humanity, right? So let me just get back to a place here where I haven't. So we've talked about the willingness. If it's really difficult for you to say, I don't know, my mind's not going to really let me give myself permission, then one of the ways that you can sort of bypass that slamming of the door that your mind loves to do, and that's true for all of us, by the way, don't think you're the only one, is you can say, I'm willing. Maybe you'll just try for a week. I'm just willing to explore and discover what that part of me maybe has for me to understand about it, or the gifts that it has waiting for me. And I need you to know that nobody else can do this for you. It's really something only you can do. Giving yourself permission is really a sacred gift that you give yourself. And it's a muscle to build. So just because you do it right now, maybe because you feel inspired, or tomorrow morning, or the next week, we have to keep giving ourselves permission, because the mind will want to sort of, pull us back into its old ways, its old antics. And until the mind realizes, I think she's kind of into this, I'm pretty sure she's serious about this, then only then will the mind say, all right, go ahead, I'll just come along for the ride. And that takes the time it takes, and it just takes you being willing to be tenacious is a way to say it. That's a little dramatic. I don't sort of put it under, I think having hard conversations about really crucial things in life, that's tenacious, but something that we already have in us. It's just a matter of being willing to regularly offer the invitation to that part of yourself, which is a little different than being, hardcore tenacious. So, and you may want to speak it. I speak it, but I also write all these things down. I've learned over time that if something is valuable to me, I need to write it down because I will forget in an instant. I can say to myself something so meaningful and seemingly profound in this moment and forget it in 5 minutes, and then shock myself over and over how I could possibly have gotten so far away from what felt so meaningful and profound in that particular moment. It's just because our habits are strong and we have to recreate a different groove for a new habit. And then that leaves the groove that we were habitually in before less traveled, and weeds grow over it, and we have a new path now. Doesn't mean that groove or old path still isn't there. Sometimes it beckons, but when we create new path with new groove and more well walked by our own choice, intention, and claiming, those footsteps actually become stronger over time. So anyway, I say things and write things down like I give myself permission to explore creative healing. It's that simple, and you'll discover what that means, the creative healing part. But just the initial willingness to give yourself that permission to explore what creative healing is, what your own creative life force has to offer you, is the first step. So, and as I've already mentioned, your mind will definitely have a few things to say about that. And she might even try to convince you that it's not safe to do this and that there's not time for this, that what kind of nonsense do you think my to-do list is already, as long as my legs? So how do you possibly think? But you don't have to worry about any of that, because one of the things I will tell you is that your creative life force is very clever, not clever in the bad way, but clever in the way that she finds ways that you could never have thought of on your own to weave creativity into your day, into your moments, into your breath, into your life, and that is what I just want you to, you have to stand on my shoulders or trust, let my trust that I've built over time be part of your trust until you discover it for yourself. Let your mind have her say, and then just notice the level of pushback that she's wanting and move forward anyway. This is what I say to myself. I say, I hear you. I know you think it's scary and pointless, but I'm going to go for it anyway. I just want to play for just a few days. I just want to see, I just want to have a little exploration here, a little adventure, and you can come along or not, but I'm going, that kind of thing. And then each step that I take, I invite my mind to notice that I didn't die. It wasn't as scary as my mind made it out to be from the beginning. And it eventually teaches your mind that it's safe and that this part of you, this creative part of you, is trustworthy. And that will just take the time that it takes. So, and just for the record, I'm still having to do that with myself after 20 plus years. So just know that, what happens to most people is when that part of their mind shows up, they put a halt to everything. They stop everything and they just kind of go say, forget it. This isn't me. But I want you to know that that's part of the trickery, so to speak, of the mind. And once you just keep moving forward anyway, then you will discover, and your mind will discover, that there's more trust in creativity and your own creative life force than you've known how to connect into until you just put one foot in front of the other. So, and that's just how fear rolls. It's how fear rolls in all human minds, in that smaller part, until we expand our capacity to see the truth beyond the fear. And that's one of the things that the creative healing process is brilliant at is helping us see the truth beyond the fear. And so that's what you have to look forward to, which I'm very excited for you, because I know what a gift it will be for your own healing and your own transformation. So write it down. Write that sacred permission that you're going to give yourself. Write it down for yourself. Look at it daily. Don't let yourself forget. Post it on your bathroom mirror, your computer, your car rearview mirror, wherever you will see it regularly, so that you have a constant reminder. Oh yes, I've made a choice to be engaged in this regularly, and then it'll just become more natural over time. And what I've said before, but what this will do is it will allow you to connect into this portal that you may know it's there. You may already be a creative person and you may have already felt this, but trust me, there's more. There's a spectrum people fall on. They're either they consider themselves not at all creative, couldn't even draw a stick figure, or maybe they've dabbled in it, but they haven't been doing anything with it for a number of years, or maybe it got shut down earlier on in life, or maybe they do have a relationship with their creativity. And so wherever you are on that spectrum is perfect, because what I can tell you is wherever you are on that spectrum, even if you're engaging with your creativity, there are levels and dimensions and next portals and next doorways that will beckon you, that will do nothing but expand you into more and more of yourself, which is really code for expanding and liberating the love that you are. So that's the juicy invitation for you in this initial creative healing conversation that I'm thrilled that you're a part of. And I also want to say this is what the world needs now. The world needs each individual to align with their true nature, give permission to this part of themselves, this life force part, this creative life force part of themselves to transform energy that is no longer serving, so that energy can be used for a much higher purpose for them. And as every person does that, it changes the pool of humanity. It changes consciousness. And if all each of us ever did was our own part, let alone those who are interested in writing books and doing service in other ways and holding offices and really stepping into greater leadership roles, if all we ever did is our own part, it would be enough and it would be huge. And that's all I'm asking of you, is to step in initially as just doing this for yourself, and then whatever beckons you after that will be in your own soul's divine mission. That will be whatever it is designed to be. I wouldn't claim to know that for you, and you don't have to know that now either, because you will just be given your breadcrumbs by your own creative healing life force, by your own inner muse, one step at a time. That's how every journey is taken. That is how a hike in the hills or up a mountain or through a forest is taken, is only one step at a time. So that's what I am excited for you to have in front of you. So let me just recap here. We busted the myth that you're not creative, because you are. If you're alive and breathing, you're an extension of creative life force. That's how everything was created on the planet. You're part of that. You're an extension of that. And so I just want you to be willing to find ways to look at that so that you can begin the process of owning it. Okay, and so we talked about what it means to grant yourself and give yourself permission, so that it becomes essentially a portal that you enter into for the purpose of changing energy that you are at choice. You will choose that you wish to change, whether it's a healing physically, a mental healing, an emotional healing, or a spiritual healing. This works on all of those levels. And what you have no way of knowing is that when you heal any one part of those levels, you heal all the other parts too. There's a ripple effect. So just pick, as we move forward with this, you'll just pick basically what is most present for you, what feels in your heart is, maybe one of the one of the many things, because we all have a long list, right? One of the things that feels most, I don't know, inspiring at this point for you. And I will put this link with all of these videos, actually. I have a free gift for you in all of these conversations I'll be having going forward, which is a creative healing kickstart, and it's a 16 or 17 page ebook, and it goes through all of the things we're talking about, and it teaches you how to do what we're talking about. And one of the things that's in there is a long list, I think it's 56 pages, on how and why creativity heals. And you as you read that list, as you resonate with certain of them, of the parts on the list, it will change your own energy. It will help you discover and peel away old negative thoughts, or things that aren't true that you've bought into, and it will help to actually transform them so that you can come more and more into your own center, your own wholeness, and your own divinity that lives inside of your heart. So, and then we also talked about fear and how to just sort of, there's a lot of ways to do this. I can only give you a little snippet in our time together, but let her have her voice, and then thank her and let her know you're still going to walk forward. I also ask her that if she needs anything in particular, to let me know. I'm willing to take care of, that part of me that feels scared as we walk forward, but I'm not gonna not do it just because she's scared. And then we also talked about elevating this gift that you give yourself of permission to explore your creative self, elevating that to the sacred. And next time we're going to be talking about ritual, play, and the power of imagination. And in the part when we discuss ritual, that is where you will learn how to elevate even just the brushing of your teeth to the sacred. So what I know to be true, because this is my own personal experience and those of others I know, is that when I am intentional and I create sacred moments throughout my day and I string them together, my day is much more it's much more aligned with love than fear. And there's more peace than anxiety. And I know that's what every human being wants. And we're at a pretty funny, wobbly place in our human evolution right now. And so knowing that we can access a sense of peace, a sense of center, and a place to go when we start feeling anxious is a big deal. And you will have that as you practice this. So download that ebook and give yourself that gift so you can start, understanding how and why creativity heals and the truth about creativity, so you can start telling yourself that truth. And the last thing I would say is that if this conversation is something that you think any of your family and friends, people that you care about, would benefit from, then share it with them. Pop it over to them and let them be in on the conversation too. So it is with great wholeness and creative life force that I'm going to sign off on our first conversation. Join me next week for our next conversation. And you can always find it here on this page, the 5-element creative healing / creating heals page. All of the conversations are going to happen on this page. So make sure you like the page if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on the future conversations. Okay, Laurie Morse signing off. Until next time.